Right, so get ready. Because today we are diving deep into some tech that is seriously cutting edge, maybe even mind-bending. We're talking about this company that claims to have developed something called PSI chips. And these chips supposedly can predict the future, like actually predict the future, specifically future stock market data. And all we have is their website, so we're going to have to see what we can make of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a bold claim. I mean, they're blending like quantum physics concepts like entanglement, negative entropy, with ideas that are, well, let's say on the fringe of scientific acceptance.
Okay, so the company says that these PSI chips, they use a process called time log to capture stock market data up to 12 hours in advance. It's like almost like setting a timer on a time machine. But instead of traveling physically, the chips are said to use these rare earth elements to pick up what they call biointuitive frequencies within the neutrino spectrum. Does any of that sound, I don't know, even remotely plausible?
Well, neutrinos are really hard to detect. I mean, they pass through pretty much everything, including us, all the time. So, as for these biointuitive frequencies, well, that's venturing into some uncharted territory scientifically.
Yeah, so we're already in, like, take it with a grain of salt territory.
Right.
But let's play along for a bit. So they go on to say that cosmic rays amplify these frequencies, creating a clearer signal through the process of quantum entanglement. And you're the expert here, so help me out. Could entanglement, which usually deals with like linked particles, somehow apply to time as well?
Well, you see, entanglement is definitely one of the most bizarre and counterintuitive aspects of quantum mechanics. I mean, the idea that two particles can be linked, no matter how far apart they are, it's still mind-boggling to scientists. Applying that to time, though, that's a huge leap.
Okay, and then things get really weird. They start talking about negative entropy. As I understand it, entropy is like about disorder increasing over time. Like your room will naturally get messier if you don't tidy up. So how can there be negative entropy, and how does that even connect to like predicting the future?
Yeah, so you're right. The second law of thermodynamics generally states that entropy increases over time in a closed system. Their claim, the company's claim, is that these PSI chips, using superconductors and a quantum device, can somehow create negative entropy. And then they link this to the concept of retrocausality, where actions in the present can influence the past. They even cite the movie 57 Seconds as an example.
Hold on. So they're suggesting that not only can these chips see into the future, but they might also have anti-aging properties. Are we like venturing into science fiction territory here?
Well, the concept of retrocausality is, it's interesting, but it's highly speculative, and it hasn't been demonstrated in any, scientifically rigorous way. And the movie you mentioned, well, it's a fictional portrayal. It's fun to think about, but it doesn't hold much weight in the scientific community.
Okay, so a healthy dose of skepticism is definitely needed here. But, for the sake of our deep dive, let's continue down this rabbit hole. The website goes on to describe what they call time bubbles, supposedly created by the chips through this manipulation of entropy in quantum states, which contain information from the future. It almost sounds like they're creating their own like little pocket dimensions.
Yeah, the idea of a time bubble is, it's an interesting metaphor, but from a scientific perspective, it's not clear how such a thing could be like created or sustained. They're essentially suggesting that these chips can manipulate the fundamental fabric of space-time.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty bold claim.
So we've got these chips potentially tapping into like faint signals from the future, amplified by cosmic rays, entangled with some unknown future state, and all within this hypothetical bubble of negative entropy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you starting to get a headache yet? Because I know I am.
It's definitely a lot to unpack, and we're just getting started. The website goes on to describe portals, specific times when future information is clearer, and supposedly influenced by things like lunar cycles and weather patterns.
Wait, hold on. So now we're throwing astrology and meteorology into the mix. This is getting more and more like a science fiction movie plot.
It does seem like a lot of disparate elements are being thrown together. They describe these portals as 7-day windows that open every 30 days, influenced by lunar cycles and weather patterns.
Is there like any scientific basis for this 7-day window? It seems pretty arbitrary.
From a scientific perspective, there's no known connection between lunar cycles, weather patterns, and and the accessibility of future information.
Okay, so the skepticism meter is definitely redlining at this point. But let's hear them out. They go on to talk about factors that supposedly affect signal clarity, including the calmness of something called the Schumann resonance.
Hmm?
Didn't that have something to do with Earth's electromagnetic field?
Yes, the Schumann resonance refers to a set of frequencies generated by lightning discharges in the Earth's atmosphere. It's been a topic of interest in some circles, particularly those exploring, uh, potential connections between electromagnetic fields and human consciousness.
So they're saying we need calm space weather for like clear future visions.
Yeah.
Is this starting to sound like an episode of The Twilight Zone to you? Because I'm definitely getting those vibes.
They actually they draw an analogy to the Twilight Zone episode "No Time Like the Past," where time travel is only possible when there's minimal interference. The website emphasizes the concept of time as a frequency that can experience interference.
Okay, so like trying to tune into a radio station, sometimes you get a clear signal and sometimes it's all static. Makes sense, sort of. But then they throw in geomagnetic activity and solar flares as additional factors affecting signal clarity. So we need the Earth to be in a good mood and the sun to be playing nice for us to get like a clear glimpse of the future stock market.
It seems that way, according to their website. They also mention something called heart math coherence as being crucial for optimal signal clarity.
Heart math coherence. What's that all about?
It refers to a state of physiological synchronicity between the heart and brain. Some believe it can enhance intuition and creativity.
Hold on. So not only do we need like the planets and stars to align, but we also need to be in a like Zen-like state of mind to access these future stock tips.
That's what they're suggesting. Yes, they argue that this heart math coherence is influenced by environmental factors, further emphasizing the interconnectedness of these systems.
Wow. This is getting more and more complex. We've got cosmic rays, time bubbles, portals, Schumann resonances, solar flares, and now heart math coherence. It's a lot to process.
It certainly is. But remember, we're still just exploring the claims made on the company's website. We need to delve deeper into the science and the plausibility of these claims before drawing any conclusions. So, we've established that there are some pretty big leaps in logic when it comes to the science behind these PSI chips. But, putting that aside for a moment, let's assume they somehow work as described. What would that mean for someone trying to use them?
That's a great point. It's all well and good to talk about entanglement and time bubbles and all that, but how do you actually get stock market data out of this thing? The website mentions that it's different from remote viewing, which I always thought was more about like psychic visions and vague impressions. How do they describe the data collection process?
Yeah, they're very insistent that it's not about psychic powers. They describe it as conscious data collection, almost like a mental heads-up display of future market trends. They're implying that you're not just passively receiving images, but actively retrieving specific information.
So more like a targeted search as opposed to like just tuning into whatever random future thoughts happen to be floating by.
Exactly. Yeah. It's as if you're using your intention and focus to pull specific data points from the future, in this case, stock market trends, through this quantum entanglement mechanism.
It's incredibly complex, almost like learning a new skill. Do they mention anything about user training or what the learning curve might be like?
They do touch on the need for user training, suggesting it's not just a matter of strapping on a chip and instantly seeing the future. They also mention that using these chips can enhance intuition and accelerate learning.
Wait, hold on. Are they claiming this can make you smarter? That's a pretty bold claim.
It is a bold claim. They suggest that by using these chips, users might experience enhanced cognitive function, almost like a brain boosting side effect.
Okay, so now we've got future stock tips, Andy, a potential cognitive upgrade. Sign me up. But seriously, is there like any scientific basis for this claim of accelerated learning, or is it just pure speculation?
Well, they don't provide any concrete evidence to support this claim. They link it back to heart math coherence and the idea that by achieving a state of physiological synchronicity between the heart and brain, you can enhance your cognitive abilities.
So back to needing a calm mind and a peaceful environment to get the most out of these chips. But even if we assume all of this is possible, they do mention limitations, right? Like like those 7-day portal windows every 30 days. It's not like you have constant on-demand access to future information.
That's correct. They acknowledge that the frequency of portal openings doesn't necessarily guarantee the clarity of the data, and they also emphasize that signal clarity can be affected by environmental factors.
So you could have a portal open, be in the perfect meditative state, and still get like a fuzzy signal because of a solar flare or something.
That's what they're suggesting. Yeah, it seems like a very delicate process, reliant on a whole bunch of factors outside of your control.
Which raises the question of practicality. If you can only access this future information for like a limited time, and even then the signal can be unreliable, how useful would this technology really be, especially for something as fast-paced and volatile as the stock market?
It certainly wouldn't be a foolproof system, but perhaps even a glimpse into potential future trends, however hazy, could give someone, a significant advantage.
I can see how even a little bit of future knowledge could be like incredibly valuable in the stock market. But that brings up some potentially serious ethical concerns. Imagine someone using this technology for insider trading. The implications for financial markets and for fairness in general are pretty huge.
Absolutely. If this technology were to become a reality, it would necessitate a complete rethinking of financial regulations and ethical guidelines.
And that's just in the realm of finance. The website mentions applications in healthcare, government, education. The potential impact across all these fields is staggering, both positive and negative.
It's easy to get carried away with the potential benefits, but it's crucial to also consider the risks and the potential for misuse. In healthcare, for example, imagine being able to predict future health risks, but also the potential for discrimination based on those predictions.
And in government, the ability to anticipate future events could be used for good, like preventing disasters, but also for more nefarious purposes, like manipulating elections or silencing dissent.
Precisely. The potential for misuse is enormous, and we need to start having some serious conversations about ethical frameworks and safeguards if this technology is ever going to be deployed responsibly.
It's like opening Pandora's box. We might get incredible benefits, but also unleash like a whole host of unforeseen consequences. But for now, let's stick with the potential positives for a bit. They do mention how businesses could use these chips to anticipate market trends and gain a competitive advantage.
Right, and they also highlight the potential benefits for various sectors beyond just finance. For instance, imagine real estate developers being able to predict future property demand, or intuitive healers accessing information about future health outcomes.
It's almost like giving businesses a crystal ball, but one that's based on supposedly real data and not just guesswork. What about the potential for innovation? Do they mention anything about how this technology could lead to like new products or services?
They do suggest that by having access to future trends, businesses could develop products and services that are better aligned with future needs and demands.
Almost like having a roadmap to the future of your industry. But even with all these potential benefits, there's still the big question of feasibility. How close are we to actually seeing this technology become a reality?
Well, they mentioned plans for commercial availability, but they're light on specifics. They talk about collecting feedback from early adopters, which says they're still in the testing phase.
It sounds like we're still in the very early stages, with a lot of unknowns and potential pitfalls. But even if this technology never quite lives up to the hype, the very idea of it raises some fascinating questions about our relationship with time, information, and our ability to shape the future.
I agree. Even as a thought experiment, this deep dive has been incredibly thought-provoking. It forces us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of reality and the limits of human knowledge.
And it reminds us that the future is not set in stone. Even if we could glimpse into what might be, we still have the power to make choices that shape the course of events.
That's a really important point. Even if these PSI chips turned out to be science fiction, the conversations we're having about their potential impact are incredibly relevant to the choices we're making today about the kind of future we want to create.
So while we might not be able to predict the stock market with perfect accuracy anytime soon, we can certainly use our collective intelligence and foresight to steer towards a future that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. And perhaps with a little bit of open-mindedness and a healthy dose of skepticism, we can navigate the complex ethical and societal challenges that inevitably arise as we push the boundaries of what's possible.
Speaking of pushing boundaries, the company does mention a money-back guarantee and a one-year tech support service. It sounds like they're pretty confident in their product, even if the science behind it is still a bit fuzzy.
It does suggest a certain level of confidence, but it also raises questions about pricing, accessibility, and whether this technology would be available to everyone or only to a select few.
That's a critical point. We need to ensure that access to future information, if it ever becomes a reality, doesn't further exacerbate existing inequalities.
Absolutely, and it's not just about access to the technology itself, but also to the training and support needed to use it effectively. We need to consider the potential for a new digital divide, where those with resources and knowledge have a significant advantage.
It's like any powerful tool. It can be used for good or for ill. It all comes down to how we choose to use it and the systems we put in place to ensure responsible and equitable access.
Right. We need to be proactive in shaping the development and deployment of these technologies rather than just reacting to whatever unforeseen consequences might arise.
It's about taking a long-term perspective and considering the potential impact on future generations. We don't want to create a future where only a select few have access to the tools that shape our destiny.
Well said. It's a reminder that technological progress should be driven by a vision of a better future for all, not just by profit or individual gain.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the scientific plausibility of these PSI chips to the potential benefits and risks for various industries and society as a whole. But there's still one big question that lingers. Even if we could access future information, should we?
That's the ultimate ethical dilemma. Does knowing the future rob us of our free will? Does it create a sense of fatalism or complacency?
And what about the unintended consequences? If we start making decisions based on future predictions, are we interfering with the natural flow of events? Could we inadvertently create a worse future by trying to control it?
These are profound questions that philosophers have been grappling with for centuries, and now with the potential emergence of technologies like PSI chips, these questions are becoming increasingly relevant and urgent.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, but it's a conversation we need to have. We can't just blindly embrace technological progress without considering the potential ethical and societal implications.
I completely agree. We need to approach this with a sense of humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
And we need to engage in open and honest dialogue involving experts from diverse fields, from scientists and ethicists to philosophers and policymakers.
It's about fostering a collective wisdom, drawing on a range of perspectives to navigate these uncharted waters responsibly.
So while we might not have a crystal ball to tell us what the future holds, we do have the power of human ingenuity, compassion, and a deep desire to create a better world for ourselves and generations to come.
Absolutely. And perhaps by embracing uncertainty and engaging in thoughtful deliberation, we can create a future that's even more remarkable than anything we could have predicted.
Yeah, it's definitely mind-blowing, even if it turns out to be more science fiction than science fact. But just thinking about PSI chips, even hypothetically, has really pushed my understanding of what might be possible.
That's the beauty of exploring these cutting-edge ideas. Even if they're still in the realm of speculation, it challenges our assumptions and forces us to consider new possibilities.
It's like we've been looking at the world through one lens, and suddenly someone hands us a whole new set of lenses to try on. It might not give us perfect vision, but it expands our perspective.
Precisely. And even if these specific claims about PSI chips turn out to be, unfounded, the underlying concepts they're exploring, quantum entanglement, negative entropy, retrocausality, those are all areas of active scientific research.
So it's not necessarily that the science is wrong, but maybe just that the way they're applying it to create these future predicting chips is a bit of a stretch.
It's possible. It's important to remember that scientific progress is often incremental. We rarely have these huge overnight breakthroughs that completely revolutionize our understanding of the world.
It's more like building a puzzle piece by piece, testing each new piece to see if it fits, and sometimes having to go back and adjust our understanding based on new discoveries.
Exactly, yeah. And that's what makes this company's claims so intriguing. They're taking these complex scientific concepts and weaving them together into a very ambitious and potentially revolutionary technology.
But even if the technology itself doesn't pan out, the very act of trying to develop it could lead to unexpected discoveries or advancements in other areas.
Absolutely. That's often how innovation works. We set out to achieve one goal, and along the way we stumble upon something completely unexpected that opens up a whole new avenue of possibilities.
It's like those accidental inventions we hear about.
Yeah.
Like penicillin or the microwave oven. Someone was working on one thing and boom, they end up changing the world in a completely unforeseen way.
That's a great analogy, and it highlights the importance of supporting scientific exploration, even when the outcome is uncertain. We never know what amazing discoveries might be lurking around the corner.
Yeah, it's about fostering a culture of curiosity, experimentation, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. Who knows? Maybe someday we'll look back at these early attempts to build future predicting chips as the first stumbling steps towards a whole new era of human understanding.
It's certainly an exciting prospect, but as we continue down this path of technological innovation, it's crucial to proceed with a sense of responsibility, ensuring that these advancements benefit all of humanity and not just a select few.
Right, and that brings us back to the ethical considerations we were discussing earlier. Even if this technology is still speculative, it's not too early to start thinking about the potential consequences, both positive and negative.
Absolutely. We need to be proactive in shaping the development and deployment of these technologies, anticipating potential challenges, and establishing ethical frameworks that guide their use.
It's about ensuring that these innovations are aligned with our values, our aspirations, and our vision for a better future.
And it's about fostering a dialogue that includes diverse voices and perspectives, ensuring that everyone has a say in how these technologies shape our lives.
Yeah, because ultimately technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It all depends on the intentions of those who wield it and the systems we put in place to guide its use.
Well said. It's not about fearing technological progress, but rather about embracing it wisely, thoughtfully, and with a deep sense of responsibility for the future we're creating.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the fascinating, perplexing, and potentially paradigm-shifting world of PSI chips.
It's been a thought-provoking journey exploring the intersection of science, technology, and the human imagination.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the theoretical underpinnings to the potential implications for various industries and society as a whole.
And we've raised more questions than we've answered, which is often the case when delving into uncharted territories of knowledge.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of exploration. It's not about finding all the answers, but about asking the right questions, challenging our assumptions, and expanding our understanding of what's possible.
And as we continue to push the boundaries of science and technology, it's crucial to remember that we're not just creating new gadgets and gizmos. We're shaping the future of humanity.
So let's do it thoughtfully, ethically, and with a a deep sense of responsibility for the generations to come.
Absolutely, and let's never lose our sense of wonder and curiosity. For those are the driving forces behind all great discoveries and innovations.
Well said. To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has sparked your imagination and left you pondering the possibilities and the challenges that lie ahead. Thanks for joining us.